I woke up in a hospital bed, the harsh smell of antiseptic filling my nostrils and a dull, throbbing pain pulsing through my head. Blinking against the fluorescent lights above, I struggled to piece together what had happened. The last thing I remembered was leaving the party with my husband, David, laughing over some silly joke I'd made about my friends. And then nothing. A nurse noticed my eyes fluttering open and quickly came over. "You're awake. Take it easy. You were found unconscious outside a club. Can you tell me your name?" I whispered it, my voice hoarse, and tried to sit up, only to feel a wave of dizziness wash over me. My mind was spinning, the night before a blur of half-remembered laughter and shadows. "Your husband has been asking about you," the nurse said cautiously. "He left just a few minutes ago. You should rest." My heart lurched. "Left? David left?" I tried to process her words, my stomach twisting into knots. I fumbled for my phone on the small table beside the bed and noticed dozens of missed calls and messages, from David, from friends, all frantic. The first message from him made my chest tighten. "I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Don't try to contact me." I dropped the phone, staring at the ceiling in disbelief. Was this real? David, my husband of 5 years, leaving me in the hospital after I'd been found unconscious? Panic clawed at me as I tried to remember what had happened the night before. The memory returned in fragmented flashes. A sudden rush of laughter, the blur of faces, someone handing me a drink, and then nothing. Fear gripped me. Had I been drugged? Robbed? Worse? My hands shook as I dialed my best friend, hoping she could help me make sense of it. "Jess, I'm in the hospital," I whispered when she answered. "I don't remember anything. David, he left me. I don't know why." There was silence on the other end before she finally said, "Oh my God. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't move. I'm coming." When Jess arrived, her eyes widened in shock at the sight of me. "What happened? You look terrible." "I don't know," I admitted. "I woke up here, and David, he's gone. He left me here." Jess frowned, grabbing my hands. "Breathe. Let's figure this out. Maybe there's something in the security footage from the club, or your phone." I shook my head, feeling overwhelmed. "I can't. I need to understand why he left me." The hours passed slowly. Nurses came and went, and the doctor updated me that I had a mild concussion and dehydration. Nothing life-threatening, they said, but my body felt fragile and my heart even more so. I kept glancing at my phone, praying for a call from David that never came. Finally, Jess spoke softly. "Look, maybe he panicked. Maybe he thought, I don't know, that this was somehow your fault. Men do weird things when they're scared." Her words offered little comfort. I couldn't shake the feeling that something more was happening. My phone buzzed, and a message appeared from an unknown number. "Check your living room camera. You'll understand." I hesitated, heart pounding, before opening my laptop that Jess had brought. The footage from our home security camera flickered onto the screen. My breath caught in my throat. There was David, at home, not at the hospital, talking to another woman. They were laughing, too close, too intimate. And then it happened, they kissed. My chest tightened, and tears stung my eyes. He hadn't left me in panic. He had left because he didn't care anymore. I sank into the hospital bed, numb. Jess wrapped an arm around me, whispering, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know he was like this." I wanted to scream, to rage, to throw something through the screen. Instead, I sat in silence, feeling a bitter clarity settle over me. The man I loved, the man I trusted, had chosen someone else, and left me at my most vulnerable. The next hours blurred as I called the police, filed a report about my unexplained unconscious state, and made arrangements to stay at Jess's apartment. Every step felt surreal, like I was living someone else's nightmare. When David finally called, my hands trembled as I answered. "Where have you been?" I demanded, voice breaking. I didn't want to make it worse," he said weakly. "I thought it'd be easier if I just left you to figure things out." "Left me?" I echoed, anger and disbelief lacing every word. "You left me in the hospital, alone, after I could have died. And for what? For her?" I made a mistake," he admitted, but there was no apology in his tone. No regret, just excuses. I hung up. That call shattered the last piece of what I thought was love. I realized then that my life wouldn't be defined by his betrayal. I would survive this, not because he wanted me to, but because I chose to. Days later, when I walked out of the hospital, I felt a strange sense of empowerment. I had been betrayed, humiliated, and abandoned, yet I was still standing. Jess helped me pack a small bag, and together we left the sterile, confining smell of the hospital behind. Word of David's betrayal spread quickly through mutual friends. I expected pity or whispers of sympathy, but instead, I found support, encouragement, and even admiration for the way I handled the shock. I realized something crucial. My worth was never tied to a man who didn't value me. Weeks later, I started therapy to process the trauma and rebuild my life. I cut contact with David entirely, refusing to give him another moment of my time. And in that, I found a strange peace. What happened that night would always haunt me. The blur of confusion, the fear, the betrayal, but I refused to let it define me. I was stronger than the man who left me. Stronger than my fear. Stronger than heartbreak. And as I moved forward, I realized that being betrayed didn't make me weak. It made me wise. It taught me that survival isn't just about living through a night in the ER. It's about reclaiming your life, your dignity, and your sense of self from the people who try to take it away. I may have woken up broken, alone, and betrayed, but I walked out a woman who knew her worth. And that knowledge was more powerful than any heartbreak David could ever inflict.